with the help of AI, you could leverage those assistive workflows throughout the entire project supply chain.
This episode was recorded live at Digital Construction Week at the Excel in London, where I interviewed some of the best and brightest in the built environment for a revealing look at innovation and technology. Kristina's Autodesk journey started out in the construction customer success team, helping hundreds of customers understand how to use cloud technology. Progressing within the organization, Kristina has experience in on-site training and upscaling people on technology, as well as exploring opportunities to minimize costs and reduce risks. With 6 years deeply immersed in the construction industry across Europe and the Middle East, and a decade navigating the dynamic SaaS landscape, software as a service, Kristina's diverse background spans many disciplines, including customer success, product marketing, sales, and strategy. Now, as Senior Product Marketing Manager for the EMEA, Kristina brings this rich blend of experiences and insights to the role. This is a fascinating chat centered around cloud technology in construction and the innovation and growth in this sector that is to come in the future. First of all, Kristina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. Absolute pleasure and delighted to get you on. Before we dive into cloud computing and the more technical aspects of what you do and what you bring to the organization and the industry, I'd first like to cover the pivotal role that marketing plays in driving the adoption of construction technology. What key strategies have you observed or implemented or used yourself that effectively promote digital adoption, driving awareness and uptake amongst construction professionals?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I would like to start from a higher level in the sense of defining the differences between marketing at a construction firm. Let's say it's a main contractor or owner company, so clients in my case, versus marketing at a technology company like Autodesk.
Okay.
Because I do think that there are major differences since the end goal of both marketing teams, depending on where you are different, right? From a contractor perspective, owner perspective, it's more of kind of promoting the work that you do, explaining what you do internally in the company, upskilling employees, which technologies you're using, which maybe challenges you're facing in this, with trends that you're seeing, more like project-oriented, versus a technology vendor like Autodesk, which is where I come from. The goal of marketing, on the one hand, is to promote our solutions, but it's not about promoting what we do. It's really about promoting what our customers are able to achieve with our help. So we are not the driving force. We are really promoting what the industry is doing with the help of our products. And in my particular case, I represent the product marketing function. And I have encountered coming from more of a consultative background. I was a customer success manager at Autodesk before I stepped into product marketing. I realized that people don't really know what product marketing is about. They think it's about, one-pagers translated from English into German or into, some other language. But in fact, it's really about understanding the industry, the customers, different audiences that we're working with, and understanding what are their critical needs, understanding what workflows they are implementing, and then taking those and trying to understand, okay, how can we adjust our product offering to make sure it fits the needs in a particular country, because there are different regulations, like here in the UK, Building Safety Act, or WKB in the Netherlands, or perhaps there is just a different way of doing things from a cultural standpoint. So we need, in product marketing, we need to take all of that into consideration and then evaluate what's the competitive landscape that we are operating in as a technology vendor, understand which segments we are serving and what are the key differences between those, to understand how we can position our solutions so that they resonate with what the customers are looking for. Because customers don't care for solutions. They don't care for products. They're looking for outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we need to talk that outcome language through our products.
Yeah.
So that, it's obvious in the end of the day that with product XYZ, I'm going to reduce risk. And then that's kind of the role of product marketing, translating that from product to the industry, from industry to the product. So bringing that feedback inside, but also messaging outside.
Which is really interesting. And for people that are wanting to get into just marketing in general.
Yeah.
It's, even though it's product focus, starts with the customer and the client and the conversations and them taking the lead and you knowing and understanding their problems.
Yeah, it's always about putting the customer really at the front of everything we do, because otherwise, there is no selling. It doesn't make sense, There is no recognition then also in the industry. What we are trying to do is help our customers. That's our ultimate goal. And that's why we need to put them at the front of everything we do.
Yeah. I would love to stay on the marketing trail, but I'm going to bring it back to
of course,
construction technology in general. Unfortunately for me, being a passionate marketer, Autodesk's cloud construction products are well renowned within the industry. So I don't think we need to really go into much of an intro to what they do and how they do it. But I'd like to get stuck into cloud technology, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
From your perspective, what have been the biggest changes within cloud tech and also within Autodesk over the past 6 years you've been there?
It's a good question. So I think there are several notable changes. I think at the beginning we were talking more about, a few years back, we were talking about how we can bring everyone in one common data environment and make sure that all the workflows are executed from one CDE.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is different, because depending on the digital maturity of a customer or the size of the projects that they are working with, it's not enough to have one cloud offering or one CDE. So it's about having an open ecosystem, about making sure that your cloud offering as a tech vendor can connect to the rest of the industry, can talk to other offerings, is really open and customizable in a way depending on the needs. We recently did an internal research among our customer base, and we found out that on average, customers use 3 to 5 tools.
Right.
So is it realistic to use only one tool in a construction project? I doubt. And I don't think the reality is like that. So that's one of the trends. Moving from this concept of a closed CDE from paper to CDE to moving to the CDE, but having it as an open ecosystem, operating in an open ecosystem where all supply chain project stakeholders can really connect. So it's about that common communication, that connectivity, and of course, data. Data is in the middle of all that, right? It's not just about dumping the data in a cloud repository. It's about what can you do with this data? How can you leverage the insights for predictive maintenance, to prevent the mistakes from happening, to minimize risks on other projects, to learn from what you are doing on your current projects with this data. So it's also about the changes are related to how customers are leveraging the data, and this dictates how technology vendors are changing the way they build their products, because customers just want the data. They want the granular data, interoperable model data that they can just they open up the model, they get the data point that they need, and they can connect it to any part of their project ecosystem.
Yeah.
And that's where I guess cloud technology is moving and needs to move.
what I find interesting is that I think what most people think of is that technology is driving change, and that is correct. But it's the requirements that are driving the change. People, what they actually need is driving the technology, not the other way around. But I think if you were to ask most people that aren't within this space, they would say that technology is driving that change.
Yeah. So I think I have something to say to that. So I think it's almost like bi-directional. So, for instance, we know that construction, if we look at, one of those McKinsey diagrams, we know that construction is one of the slowest industries to grow and evolve and adapt to changes. But at the same time, technology, let's bring up AI, the buzzword of DCW of the recent years. These things don't change construction industry immediately, but what they do is that they create so much disruption that they almost like push the industries like construction to start thinking differently. And it doesn't happen from one day to the other, but it helps to get that kick.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's all about any change. It's all this technology, whether we're talking about AI or sustainability, new technology related to sustainability. It's all about change management, and change management is all about people. So it's almost like asking, what comes first? Is it the chicken or the egg? But I do believe that people are at the heart of this. And actually, there was a presentation almost before our recording, and there was a statement that said that people are at the heart of changes, and the talk was about what can you do to address all these challenges related to change management, new technology. How can you upskill people? So it all comes down to people.
Yeah, it always has, and it always will, and that's the main thing that I'm getting from everybody that I talk to. It's as much about the people, and we get so focused on the technology, and technology. It can be easy to forget the people, and that's critical.
I mean, technology is important. I am the person from a personal perspective. I do believe that we are living in a world where, with advancements that are like this, and from the technological standpoint, you are either adapting to this change or you are staying behind.
Yeah.
So the pace of change can be different depending on the company, on their digital maturity, readiness to invest, skill set, lots of different factors. But we definitely need to embrace technology. But it's not about replacing what we do. It's how can we use this technology to work in a more efficient manner, to minimize the non-critical work, to really focus on what matters, especially in construction, because time is money in construction. So if technology can help us to save time, it means it can save us, to help us to save money.
Absolutely. So just focusing on Autodesk more specifically, you must have seen some excellent examples of when technology just clicks, it just works, and when it all works seamlessly, everyone benefits, particularly your clients. Do any examples stick out for you personally where that's happened?
Yeah. So this is where I believe, customer success stories, so that's how we call them, come in quite nicely. Nobody can tell the story better than our own customers.
Yeah.
We can talk about our products, of course, but we need to understand what benefits they bring to our customers. What outcomes can customers achieve with our product? So I want to mention maybe two recent examples of mind. One is a CPAC, is a modular contractor in Ireland. And they've been using Autodesk Construction Cloud, Autodesk Build in particular, to kind of minimize the time spent on rework, digitizing their workflows, and therefore sort of reducing cost and speeding up the processes. Another example of highlighting a customer, we recently did a LinkedIn Live on our top 5 releases, and we had a customer co-present, BSF. It's a main contractor from the DACH region, so from Germany. And they were presenting how they're using model-based progress tracking on site, and how they are providing access to models to the entire site, making sure that their field workers are all up to date. They all know what's happening, what's the current state of the model. They can compare with their own eyes what they're building versus what's the kind of desired design state, and make adjustments on the go, through issues. So things like this are really, and it's true that it doesn't, come in one day, this change. So on the customer side, it's hard to make sure that everybody follows through. And that's why things like enablement, that's why support from technology vendors or partners is so critical here. Customers need to know that they're not left alone in this, that they're not just given technology and then they have to figure out how to implement it. Because if you think about it, they have their own traditional ways of working, and they may be working, but the customer won't know how the new technology will help them if you just tell them that if you change this workflow, you're going to, reduce cost and minimize risk. Normally, we go through a trial project, and that's how you can see immediate impact, and that's how you can then standardize on other projects. So these are just, a few examples, but overall, Autodesk Construction Cloud just really helps to connect from design to construction, to handover, to operations, so that you can have all your critical data in one system or connected from different systems, because we have more than 260 integrations. And with the help of this, you can essentially get to a digital twin, which is not the buzzword anymore. And if you think about it, talking about, the changes also in the industry, digital twin was something that an owner would think about before. I remember even last year here at the conference, I was talking to some customers, and owners would normally come up and ask questions about digital twin, about stand-up or other solutions. Nowadays, it's changing. Designers are talking about digital twin. Contractors are starting to talk about digital twin, because that data collection starts very early in the process. And that's why tools like Autodesk Construction Cloud can really help you to capture this data early in the process and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And that as an owner, you pay for the right quality of the digital twin in the end of the process.
Yeah, for sure. All fascinating, and I'm sure you've got a lot of examples of where you've benefited clients and projects and saved money and time and effort and things like that. But one thing about this cloud-based technology, although it can be used to optimize resources, reduce waste, improve overall project sustainability, there's no getting away from the fact that the processing power we need to do this kind of stuff is greater than it once was. According to the National Grid, 90% of a data center's energy is wasted during idle periods. So are we heading towards kind of an impasse here, or are there solutions to maintain the growth in data processing we're going to need going forward, but also maintaining a sustainable outcome?
I think this is the question that at Autodesk, I would say this is beyond my pay grade in terms of how we would solve for this. But
for sure.
I can share some thoughts that I have on this.
Please.
I think that at this stage, it's a very controversial discussion, and we cannot arrive to a solution. Tools like, or new technologies like AI or all those new systems, they do require a lot more energy. And I'm not sure the world has yet figured out how to utilize or make more energy savings with the implementation of that technology. From a perspective of technology in construction, or at least that's what we are trying to do, and I've seen some other vendors here talk about sustainability, which is great. Almost all tech solutions nowadays understand that customers, more than 90% of customers, according to the recent Design and Make report that we have published, they sustainability goals are like a no-brainer for them. They do have them, and it's not just a part of their corporate objective. They are real goals on construction projects that they need to achieve. So technology vendors, I believe it's our job to provide solutions that can help you to either calculate the amount of carbon emissions or calculate the footprint, that environmental footprint that you as a business are generating in construction early from the design and takeoff phase. And we can do this already today, with some workflows that we have in Autodesk Build, with cost, with takeoff, with EC3 integration. So there are different ways that we technology providers can help to minimize that sustainability impact and risk with new technologies coming in and coming in. So the best we can do is, with new technologies, we need to wait a little bit to see how they evolve, what happens. It's also the responsibility of those companies who are really coming up with that, with innovation like ChatGPT to the market, to be responsible from a corporate social perspective, environmental perspective. But we need to work with what we have. And we already have solutions in the house that we can provide to customers to minimize that environmental impact. And we need to do more of that.
Okay, so I suppose in a way, we can use the technology to solve those problems. The additional technology or additional storage or whatever it might be in the background we require, we can use tech to resolve that. So it's a bit self-fulfilling in ways.
Yeah, totally.
So I want to look towards the future now. So this will be interesting. We've all heard the buzzwords like AI, which we've probably heard way too often at Digital Construction Week, VR, AR, 3D printing, etc., etc. But we very rarely hear about the infrastructure required for this tech to flourish, such as edge computing, quantum computing, and for construction especially. It's critical to have interoperability and portability with what we do, just simply because of the nature of the beast. And that's what we're going to require going forward. So where do you see the construction technology industry going over the next few years?
Yeah, good question. I think lots of possible venues and ways. Where we are investing and looking in, if we talk about AI, it's more about those assistive workflows that, with the help of AI, you could leverage those assistive workflows throughout the entire project supply chain. So from design authoring all the way to the handover workflows to digital twin. How can you leverage AI to find the information better, from a search perspective or predictive maintenance perspective? So, just heavily investing in R&D, I guess, in that direction from a technology vendor perspective. With VR, it's interesting because at Autodesk University earlier this year, myself and my colleague Eve, we delivered a class on for owners on asset management workflows, and we did we used Oculus headset to do a demo or to show the model from within the Oculus headset interface, because we have an integration like that. And I believe that using technology like this can really, is really the short-term future, using more of this, VR headsets and really collaborating more with universities. Okay. I do believe that it is a gap that we have in construction in particular. universities have access to the most, up-to-date workforce, the most digitized workforce, and they are our universities that are already leveraging Oculus headset for their classes on engineering, civil engineering, or to talk about BIM, to talk about digital transformation. So we need to partner more, and I see that probably the trend is more partnerships with universities like that.
Okay.
to learn what they are doing and to pick up those employees who are already using this technology day and night, students day and night, to prepare them to become the employees of the future. And that's how we can probably bridge that skills gap a little bit. But I think this kind of things, collaboration with universities, leveraging more of VR, on-sites, in construction, it just helps to save time and solve for issues faster, and really speeds up that collaboration aspect. And of course, all that comes with additional investments. But I think just like with everything, we invest in our education as well early in our careers before we start our career, right? So we know that there is a return on investment for everything that you do, and it's not always short term.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that companies are understanding that and have more and more new, roles, departments that are really focused on digital transformation, innovation. And the important thing here is not just to focus on innovation for the sake of innovation. It's really to focus only on those digital advancements that your business needs. So look at what are your critical gaps or workflows or outcomes that you want to achieve, and how can you leverage this innovation to solve for these problems today that can help you tomorrow. So it's also being realistic about all this technology, and which impact can it have on my business in the short term and then in the longer run. But I think we need to focus on short term more than long term.
Okay, interesting. So, final thoughts here. We're at Digital Construction Week. We're at Digital Construction Weeks. What are your thoughts in general about this event and exhibition?
I think if we compare this event to the previous year, I've been here last year, and I've noted two themes, well, maybe three themes that are really standing out this year. Obviously, AI. If you look at the presentations, almost every second speaker is mentioning AI, whether that's because of fear, because they're using it, because they're considering, or because it's the unknown. We accept that the industry is changing, and construction is not just talking about it now. It's about what can you do. Asset maintenance, asset management, digital twin. As I said before, it was more of an owner conversation. Now today we're seeing also lots of interesting panel discussions on asset management, on digital twin. And tomorrow, for instance, I know that we have, as Autodesk, we have two interesting classes that I particularly picked up. One is on asset management, and another one is on why do you need a CDE to make a project sustainable. So these are the topics that I think are kind of getting everybody excited here. And these are the interesting conversations that you can have here. But of course, it's just a great event to be at, to learn, from other industry peers, to learn what's happening in the industry, or simply, as we were discussing before we started, to know that we're all on the same page. It's like reassurance as well. It's reassurance that, okay, you are not alone, but we're also moving in the same right direction. So reassurance is also needed, and conferences like DCW help to get that reassurance from the industry.
I think it helps with collaboration and that openness as well. Although there's the seminars and you have speakers on the stage, it's that communication and that collaboration coming together collectively.
Totally. You're so right. And then even if I came to a few stands, even competitive stands, and there is really real openness, of course, not to tell you everything we do from a competitive standpoint, especially, but there is openness and people are eager to discuss what are the problems in the industry. There are lots of conversation around integrations, partner integrations, working as partners, not working in silos. And this is also a big shift in the industry. Silos don't work anymore.
Yeah. So, and if you think about it, if you're talking to competitors, it all comes down to numbers, right? It all comes down to data, essentially. Yes, there's people involved, but when we're talking about the tech, it's only as good as the data and the numbers that we can input into it. So if you're working alongside your competitors, then they're improving the data, you're improving the data, other people improve the data, cleaner data sets, better management, better output. It just helps the industry in general. So it makes perfect sense.
Totally. It's about improving the quality of data.
Yeah.
I guess that's everything that it's what all of us are here for. How can we get the quality data or help our customers get the quality data to improve how the construction industry works, reduce operational costs, reduce costs as well, risks, minimize risks. All that is thanks to the actionable data that can help to make better decisions. And together as an industry, we can make that happen.
Great way to end this. Kristina, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this and wish you the best of the luck with your podcast. It's amazing. Tune in, everyone.